Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So if you watched our last video, you know that we installed the rebuilt injection pump on this diesel John Deere 300 series tractor, and it seems to have fixed 99% of any issues that I thought this thing had. Temps got down last night into I think it was about 40. It's 45 right now, so it's gotten a chance to completely cool off from us running it yesterday. So before I get into too much about today's video, I do want to try to do a cold start on this. I think that the injection pump was probably a big problem of why it wouldn't start on its own. I had to spray ether every time. So everything's cold. It hasn't ran since probably about 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and it's about 11 o'clock the next morning. So it's been a while. Make sure we're in neutral here. This tractor is kind of funny. It's got two shifters. The one on the left is for park, 1 and 2, which is basically your low and high, and then a reverse. And then the right hand shifter has 4 selections, 1 through 4 if you're in low, and then 5 through 8 if you're in high. So, and you can also do reverse with those 8 speeds as well, so it's kind of crazy. But to put this in park, it doesn't have like a park like your car. You basically put the left shifter in park, and then the gear selector shifter in one of the 4 positions. It doesn't really matter. So anyway, it's kind of weird having shifters in gear, letting off the clutch and knowing that it's not going anywhere. I've never seen another tractor like that before, but just to be on the safe side, we'll make sure everything's in neutral. Again, like I said, everything's cold. I haven't messed with it, so fingers crossed, and let's see if this thing will start for us today. So we'll give it a little throttle. Not too bad. This thing definitely smokes a lot at startup. Let's see if I can get my key out here so I don't kill my battery. And so as you can see, it's a little smoky. It is because it's cold, and I think that's just what it is. I don't know. I mean, it's an old tractor, so yesterday when I had it out, once I was running, woo! Once I had it running for a while and got up to temp, it all went away. If you look at that video, you can see it really going from idle to ramping it up and back down, and didn't miss a beat, didn't blow any black smoke, white smoke. So I think it's just because it's cold. But anyway, that's a good thing. I had a little bit of a drip on my fuel filter this morning, so I tightened that up. And as you know, again from the last video, one of the lines going from the injection pump to the rear injector was dripping. So today, I'm not going to video it, but I'm going to go ahead and pull that bolt out of that banjo fitting, clean up that fitting, and replace both of those high pressure washers, and hopefully that'll resolve the leak there. So anyway, today's video I got a couple things. One, I definitely want to give a couple shout outs to some important people that have been watching this channel and supporting me. 2, I'm going to go through and replace the engine oil filter and the transmission fluid and filter and clean the suction strainer, because again, if you haven't seen that last video, go back and watch it. We had basically what looked like a milkshake pouring out all over the ground. The transmission and hydraulic fluid in this thing are just shot. There's so much water in there, it's ridiculous. So I'm hoping by changing this, it'll clear most of it up. You know, I think it takes like 13 gallons of hydraulic oil, so it's not the cheapest thing to have to keep changing, but hopefully we'll change it. We'll run it for a while, and I may end up having to change it again. But and then we also have a new tool product review that I want to do at one point in this video, so stay tuned for that. So anyway, with that being said, let's get to the most important part of this video. Alright, so like I said, this part of the video I think is the most important one. I really just want to give some shout outs and say thank you to a bunch of the viewers who really have supported me over this last year on YouTube. Obviously, number one being my wife, right? So she watches every video. She usually watches the pre-edit version before I even upload it to YouTube. And not only does she watch these videos multiple times, but then she has to hear me talking about these things 24/7. So I do appreciate her support. I love her more than anything in the world, and she knows this. But man, what a great sounding board. She really does listen and give good advice, even though she has no interest in tractors at all. She loves it because I love it, and I love her for that. So thank you to my wife. Next up is Jason. He has a YouTube channel also. It's Jason1PA. I started watching him years ago when I was restoring a Ford 9N. You know, I'm a John Deere guy. I'm not a Ford guy. I knew nothing about these things, and I think I got a picture I can scrounge up, and if I find it, I'll add it into the video here. But I had bought a Ford 9N. I think it was a 1941, but anyway, I got it. It was painted the wrong colors. It was like gray and red. It had light truck duty tires on the front. All the steering components were clapped out. The engine smoked. I mean, it was just a train wreck. And by watching Jason's videos, I was able to completely tear that tractor down to nothing and replace bearings, seals, go through the engine, and just actually made it end up looking like it was supposed to be, with the Battleship gray paint scheme, the correct pizza cutter front wheels, and it ended up being a really nice project. Got way in over my head on it as far as cost. If you know, the Ford 8N, 9N, and 2N tractors are really like a staple of American tractors. They're everywhere. If you don't know what it is, you see those pictures I put up or Google it. Everyone has seen one before. So they're kind of a dime a dozen kind of thing. So when you restore one, it's kind of hard to recoup your money back on that, because why is someone going to pay $4,000 for a restored tractor when they can spend like $800 to $1,200 and get a running one that they can put to work bush hogging, you know? So anyway, lots of lessons learned on that one, but thank you again to Jason for not only putting those videos up so that I could learn how to work on the Ford, but he has been probably my #1 advocate on YouTube as far as commenting on my videos. So if you don't know, YouTube obviously works on algorithms. So the number of people watching, commenting, liking the videos, sharing the videos, all those numbers add up with those analytics, and it determines if they want to continue pushing your video out to a wider audience. So by commenting on the video, it helps check those boxes to help the success of the video and ultimately the channel and me. So every single video that I have posted up on YouTube, I think we're at like 150, 160 something now. Jason has been there without fail and commented on every one of them. So Jason, I really appreciate you, man. That's awesome. Do not by any means feel obligated. You have done more than your fair share, and I definitely appreciate it. So check out his channel, Jason1PA. He's got a Silver King, a Massey H Pony, a John Deere A, a bunch of Fords, a bunch of cool tractors, and very well put together videos. Second part of that is from a guy named Gary. Gary lives in Iowa, and he also has a YouTube channel called Tractor Talk with Gary. So that's kind of my main focus on this part of this video. I know it's a lot of talking, and I try to avoid that, even though I still do it anyway, but this is really important to me because like the saying is out there, it takes a village, and it really does. To have a support community on YouTube is something that I never thought, I didn't even know existed, right? Like, I'm into tractors, we have tractor clubs and meets, and you know, we network and help each other find parts and stuff, but I never realized that there would be something similar to that on YouTube. And Gary's the one that proved to me otherwise. So Gary found my channel, I guess just luck of the draw for me, and he started commenting on my videos. And like Jason, I noticed that he was making lots of comments, and sometimes it was just a, hey Steve, how you doing, or have a great weekend. And at first, you know, me not knowing, being naive about the whole thing, I thought, you know, a really nice guy, but it's kind of funny that he keeps commenting just things that don't have to do with the video. But then the more I got to think about it, I'm like, well, he knows the drill. You know, he knows how this algorithm thing works, and he's just trying to push that extra comment on my channel, you know. So I started looking at his channel, and I subscribed to his and started watching his videos, and realized that there was a trend here. There was a lot of people on his channel that were commenting on all of his videos, and I'd go to their channels and he was commenting on theirs, and it was like one of those pyramid scheme type things, right? Not that it's a scheme by any means, but you know, you support your fellow YouTube channels, and they will in turn, you know, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, and that's really just kind of how that worked. And I didn't even know there was that dynamic in this, so it was really cool to see that. And in one of his videos, I saw that he had a garage door on his Quonset hut that had stickers from other YouTube channels. And I thought, man, that's pretty cool. And I have stickers. Like, I made all these stickers for that Coastal Virginia Auto Show that had my YouTube QR code and me sitting on a crawler. And I was like, I'll send Gary some stickers and maybe he can throw them on his door. So not only did Gary throw the stickers on his door, but he proceeded to make a whole video promoting my channel. So go to Tractor Talk with Gary, like stop my video right now, go to Tractor Talk with Gary and check out his channel. Yeah, he went through and took clips from my old videos and really pushed his subscribers to come check out my channel. So basically he advertised for me, and I had probably 60 viewers from his channel come over to mine and subscribe to my channel. And I was like, wow, what an amazing thing. So, you know, I wrote Gary a letter, I sent him some of my stickers, and you know, he ended up writing back to me. So I'm gonna read this real quick because it was really thoughtful and I appreciate it. He said, Steve, what a stroke of luck to have stumbled across your amazing channel. I don't know about that, Gary, but I appreciate it. You're going to do well on YouTube, as your videos are equally as good as the craftsmanship you display in your projects. You leave no stone unturned when you dive into a project. The one of your 430 John Deere crawler was absolutely jaw-dropping. It was jaw-dropping to me too when I found out how much I had to pay to do that thing. Here's a decal from my channel. Since you like the 1958 John Deere 520 with the number 45 mechanical loader so well, here it is. Sure enjoying this YouTube friendship. YouTube has opened up a new world for me. Looking forward to this new year. As always, Gary, aka Tractor Talk with Gary. And his quote that he has in all his videos is, life is good, even better on the tractor seat, which is true. So here's the decal that Gary sent me. It's of his John Deere 520. It's got the 45 loader. I used to have a John Deere B with the 45 loader. It was the coolest thing. So I'm going to have to come up with some type of whiteboard that I can put out here and start putting these stickers on too. So again, from meeting Gary and you know, interacting with him through the old snail mail, I was able to, you know, make a new internet friend and get a bunch of subscribers for my channel. And hopefully my video will help him get some more for his too, because that's just how that works, you know. And through him, I've met a whole bunch of other people who also have amazing channels with great content that I watch every day. And I in turn do the same, and I comment on there as, hey, how's it going? Great video. And I have questions, right? So like Louis, he's from South Texas. Hey, I'll put all these channels in the description below so you can check it out. But, you know, he's from Texas. They grow and cut hay. And, you know, he's always commenting on my videos. I try to return the favor back and do it for him. But he's got some really neat stuff. You know, there was one video I was watching last week with how they irrigate out there. And it's not from, like, sprinkler heads. They're, like, pop-up valves that come up out of the ground, and it floods the ground. So, really cool, interesting stuff to learn. I have nothing to do with hay. I don't have any livestock or anything. But it's just neat to learn something new, you know, something out of my normal comfort zone. Ed Goslin from Goslin Farms, they're in Oregon. Again, another great commenter, great videos, I watch him. Tony Walsh from R&W Farmstead, they're in Georgia. So as you can see, these are people all over the country, right? We got Noel from Noel's Tractors and Firewood, and he's in Canada. I got a couple Canada viewers. Well, there's people from all over the world, but it's just kind of neat to see, you know, the different hobbies, I guess, intermingling, you know. Just a couple more I want to run off here. Ken from Ken's Can Cave, he's in Illinois. He's got a cool channel collecting cans, and he puts videos up about all kinds of neat things, like just rabbit hole kind of stuff. So really cool to watch the content he's got on there. See, Kenny from Open Air Adventures, he's up in Nova Scotia. He's a firewood guy. So learn a lot from him. I know he uses a bunch of steel chainsaws, which is here in Virginia Beach where they make them. But he's got some cool, interesting videos on there about using a dehumidifier with a tarp for firewood, how long it takes to remove moisture from firewood. And it's crazy to see that over the course of a few days, this thing's pulling gallons of water out of a quart of wood. So just pretty cool to see. Matt the Scrap Whisperer, he's in Arizona. Doing all kinds of cool projects. He gets involved with a bunch of other channels. They do like Secret Santa gifts and stuff. So really just some neat things that are out of the ordinary thing for YouTube. And then, you know, tons of local people. Todd Starks, I know you watch my channel, make comments all the time. I just really appreciate it, you know. And the last one is a guy named Jason Dinsmore. He's got a small YouTube channel, just a couple of subscribers, but always there commenting, you know. He's looking out for Sweaty Betty. It's almost like it's Where's Waldo, right? So I'll do a video on something and he'll be like, oh, I caught Sweaty Betty in the background, you know. So I'll have to sneak some more of those shots in here and see if Jason can catch those. So anyway, just really cool. I won't keep ranting on about this. I could go all day naming off people, and but I just really do appreciate the support, and it is kind of cool to see how other channels can help other channels grow and become prosperous, you know, and learning new stuff along the way. Like, again, I don't burn firewood, I don't cut firewood, but it's cool to see somebody else's interests and, you know, just learn something new. So, all right, I'm done yapping about that. I wanted to do the cold start on this today just to see if the injection pump helped that, and I didn't have to spray ether, which is awesome, so that's good. I'm going to tend to this leaking crush ring on the injector line, and then we'll change the engine oil and the transmission slash hydraulic fluid. So one thing I do want to show you here, let me pull this stuff out real quick. This is a tub I got from Home Depot. It's in the concrete section, and I guess you can use it for like mixing mortar or concrete or whatever. I have a couple of these actually. They're like 17 bucks. It's not very expensive. It's pretty durable plastic, and it holds up to 16 gallons. It's about 1.5 inches below the lip here. 16 gallons of fluid in here. So being as this transmission and hydraulics are about 13 gallons, what a perfect way to just drain everything into one tub, and then we'll transfer it into another container after that. So, all right, let's get this fluid changed out and get rid of this milkshake mess we got. First thing with just about any oil change is to remove the drain plug on the bottom. Now, this one I believe is 1 1/8 inches, but the bolt that's in here is really kind of buggered up. So I might try to see if we can address that while it's out. The oil level in this is a little bit higher than normal. Nothing that I feel is an issue, but seems to be fairly clean. I mean, it's black. I shouldn't say clean, but it is a diesel engine, and you know, all engines with older oil tend to get black from the carbon and everything, but diesel's quite a bit more. You can see that a little bit bunged up, but I think it'll be all right. It actually came off pretty good. So the good thing is there's no water in this. Not that I want water necessarily in the transmission and hydraulic system, but I definitely don't want it in the engine system. So yeah, we'll let this drain and then put the plug back in, and we'll pull the filter off. Actually, let's pull the filter while this is draining. I'm going to set the camera up in a better spot here. So while the engine oil continues to drain from the pan, we'll go ahead and remove this filter. This filter looks like it's been on here since the 70s. It's a Baldwin filter BT259, and we'll be replacing that with this Napa filter 1243, which I think this one has a separate O-ring. I think it's just included on the filter itself. Yeah, it's just like your typical car filter, so swap those out. Let's see if this will come off by hand. Yeah, it's not too bad. If you can't get this off, and I know a lot of you are mechanically inclined and you're like, why are you showing us what an oil filter wrench is? Just know that I do have some viewers that don't watch these things or don't typically do these. But this is an example of a type of oil filter wrench. So it would slide over the top, and then this handle, when you squeeze it, it kind of squishes that band together and allows you to twist it to get it off. So fortunately this one wasn't too tight. So of course this is going to make a mess here dripping down, but we got the pan under it still, so we're good. And there's the old filter. That thing's been on there for quite some time. So we'll let this drain a bit and wipe everything out, get all this debris off, junk and buildup from years. Alright, got that all cleaned up, and we will prepare our new filter for installation. So here's one of those situations where it comes down to personal preference, I guess. You know, this filter is inserted almost vertically. Most filters are inserted from the bottom or kind of at a bottom type angle. Oh. So most of the time with those, I will put a funnel in here and fill this filter most of the way screw it on so that when you start the engine, it doesn't have to starve the engine anywhere of any oil while this filter fills up. This is kind of a different situation because now when I fill this, as soon as I put it on here, it's going to start dumping out. And for all I know, once it's on here, it's probably just going to drain out into the block anyway. So I am going to put some in here just to kind of get the filter elements wet at least and put it on. I'm sure it's going to make a little bit of a mess, but I usually just put the filter into the box, kind of let that act as a holding element for me here. And then I've just got Shell Rotella 1540. That's the oil that I will be using for this tractor. So yeah, we're just going to pour a little bit in the filter there. And like I said, once I flip this upside down, it's going to run oil down and make a mess anyway. But in the interim, I'm hoping that maybe it'll at least get the filter elements in here saturated with some oil. All right. Then the last thing you want to do, I'll use a little bit of this here. You want to put some oil on the O-ring for your filter, just to help things seal, lubricate the threads. All right, and we will throw her on. Let's see here, there we go. Should thread on nice and tight. The manual says as soon as it hits the surface of the block like that, to turn it an additional 1.5 turns. So that's up to you if you want to actually measure that out. I think I've been doing this long enough and kind of get a feel for it. It doesn't have to be all ooga dooga tight on there. It's just an oil filter. In the event that you didn't put it on tight enough, it'll start to leak and you can just put another turn on it. You really crank down on it, you can damage threads. You'll squish this O-ring out. It's not under high pressure, so that's all we need. All right, so oil filter's on, the oil pan's drained. I've cleaned the plug off. We'll reinsert the plug back in the pan and we will fill to spec, which is through this port right here. And that's it, that's the oil change. Pretty easy, just like a car. I usually keep a logbook of all my vehicles and equipment as far as when I do maintenance and whatnot. But another thing you can do is get a paint pen, 2/25, and write on there the date that you changed it so that you or the next person have a better idea. When it comes to tractors, the month and the day doesn't really matter. Usually it's by the year. Might as well do the fuel filter too, although we changed this yesterday. Wasn't really thinking, but a day ain't gonna affect anything. Alright, so normally I would drain all this fluid first before I did anything. But the book's saying that you can change this filter element without having to change all the hydraulic oil. So before I drain, I guess there's about 10 gallons in here. I want to try just taking this housing off first to see if I can in fact change just the filter with a minimal fluid loss. It's already coming down. Of course, this is probably going to make a huge mess as always. Oh yeah, look at that milkshake coming out. I'm just curious to see how much oil you lose. Oh, that's terrible. So this is probably mostly caused to those shifter boots, the rubber shifter boots on top, were all cracked and dry rotted and busted apart. And when it's left outside, water gets into the transmission. And on this tractor, the transmission fluid and hydraulic fluid are all the same. Let's keep unscrewing this. It's about to drop down. There we go. Alright, so I guess you can. Alright, I think I gotta unscrew this some more. This is a mess. But anyway, rainwater gets in through those boots and puts water in the transmission. That's why this is so milky looking. And I don't... Oh, there we go. Surprise! It's a piñata! Alright, so I guess you can change this filter without having to drain the whole sump. Now this should just drop out. Let's see if there's any kind of date on here. Nah, I don't see anything on here. It's a John Deere part. Oh, here we go. February 2nd, 21. Wow, how weird is that? Today is February 2nd, 25. So 4 years ago to the date. Well, not that this was changed. That's when this filter was made. It's still kind of weird though. So yeah, 4 years ago today, this filter was made. So that's actually not too bad. That tells me that someone's done some maintenance. The only thing that I'm not liking here is I see some red RTV in here. There's supposed to be an O-ring seal in here, and either they didn't have the seal or they used the red RTV to hold it in place, which, yeah, I think that's what they did. Let me see if I can get in here and pull this out. I think they squished that red RTV in to hold that rubber seal. I tell you, it never ceases to amaze me the crazy stuff people do. Alright, let me find my scribe here. Alright, here's my scribe. See if I can pull this seal out. I'm probably unleashing a bigger problem that I don't know about yet here. Why would you put red RTV in here? I wish they didn't make... I don't like red RTV. I'm not a big fan. Oh, here we go. Alright. So here's the rubber O-ring. It's pretty dry and crusty. I wouldn't think that was done within the last 4 years. So now I have to go through the painstaking process of cleaning out all this red RTV up inside this cavity. I know you can't see it in the video, but let me get that cleaned up, and then we'll proceed to continuing to drain this system out. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get in here or not, but that's up inside the cavity. And it's just filled with red RTV around the outside. So we clean that all up and drain the transmission out. And then I got a new O-ring, a new filter we'll put in. Alright, I got all the RTV cleaned up and cleaned the filter housing. Next thing we're going to do is attempt to remove, there's 2 drain plugs. There's one here right next to the filter housing, and there's another one way in the back down here underneath the rock shaft lift arm. So let's see if we can get those off and finish removing this nasty milkshake mess that's in here. Now this bolt head is seems a little rounded a bit, so hopefully we'll be able to get it out. It's not looking like that's gonna happen. This is a 6-point socket too. Gotta love these old things. Hopefully we can get the other one out. Let me try a couple other little tricks here. It just seems like it's slipping. Let me try. I got a 12-point. I figured the 6-point would be the better one to use. Let's try the 12. You never know. Well, I've actually got some better grip. You go grab a breaker bar to put on here, make my life easier. Let's hope for the first. I'm just rounding it over even more. See, I just don't understand why people got to put everything together so tight. Alright, this is not good. That's not coming out. Let's hope for the back one. I'm going to put the 6-point socket back on. If you don't know what I'm talking about, here's an example of the 6-point on your left and the 12-pin on the right. And most bolts have a 6-faced hexagon head, hex head. So if you can get the 6-point on, it has a less of a chance of stripping. So let me see if I can get this back one out. Right, there's really no room under here for a camera, but let's see, lefty loosey, huh? Alright, I'm gonna get in here and see if we can get on this one. Back here. Alright, that fits alright. Let me get my pipe wrench extension so I can make my life a little easier and keep some pressure on this going up. Come on, baby. Please come loose. Please come loose. Oh, shit. Hopefully that loosened it up. Yes, thank you. Alright, at least we can drain most of it. So let me center this here and get ready for the milkshake deluge, because there's about 10 gallons about to come out of this thing right now. Look at all that water. It's terrible. Yuck. Nasty, nasty stuff. It's like a fondue machine. Finger fondue. Oh yeah, look at that pretty nasty mess. It's like I could be a barista at Starbucks. Swirled cappuccino, venti please. Alright, and the last part of this project, and probably the most important part, we're going to remove this cap here, and it's just got a, let me slide this without moving the camera too much. Excuse me. Should be able to just sit the ratchet in here. And inside this cap is a bunch of dirt. Let me get my scribe and clean that out. Alright, get this dirt build up out of here with the scribe, get that cleaned out, a little brake cleaner in there. Alright, that should do it. So, this is a half-inch drive socket, or half-inch drive ratchet. Should fit right in there, and again, hopefully this will come free. This is going to remove the suction strainer inside the transmission, and though the filter is important and though the fluid is important, this one here is one that typically gets neglected and needs to make sure that it's clean. It's basically just like the like a suction strainer that picks up where the suction pulling the oil from the bottom of this transmission cleans out all the gunk. So any debris that's at the bottom, it keeps it from getting sucked up through the pump. So this is kind of good because it's towards the bottom end of the front here. So even though we couldn't get this drain plug out, hopefully anything that's on this end should come out as well. Gotta get a little more nasty there. And I should be able to pull this out. Let me refer to my handy dandy manual here and see what I'm missing. I can see it in there, I'm just not sure how I'm going to get it out. I might need to do some manipulating. Alright, I got to give you a little warning on this one because it's pretty gross. So, you know when you go buy a tractor for an example, or even a car for that matter, motorcycle, ATV, whatever, and the seller says, you know, yeah, just changed all the fluids. Yeah, I can guarantee you, even if they did change the fluids, most of the time they don't go through the extra effort to get to the hard to maintenance type things like this suction screen. So I was able to kind of pry around with a screwdriver a little bit and reached in with some needle nose and kind of gave it a yank, and yeah, she's starting to come out, and well, I'll just let you make your own informed decision of how nasty this screen really is. Alright, so I was able to get this suction screen here with these needle nose pliers. Just go ahead and pull that out and take a little gander at that. Let me zoom in a little closer, just in case you can't quite see the carnage and nastiness that is on that suction strainer. I mean, that just makes me want to throw up. It looks like when you clean out a shower drain or something. That's so friggin' gross. And it doesn't want to come out. The monster inside doesn't want to let go. Alright, I gotta get this out, and then we'll go through and clean it. And what a bunch of nasty stuff. My hydraulics will probably work a lot better once this is cleaned. Well, there she is. I got it pulled out. It's quite the nasty little bugger there. It's just chock filled up with sludge and dirt, paint chips. So CRC brake clean, I swear by it. Get this thing looking brand new. And I joke around sometimes saying I buy it by the case. I ain't joking. Alright, there we go. Final product. Looks a little bit different. You can see where some parts of this, the little fibers have even started to come apart, where it was probably building up so much suction it couldn't pull the fluid through. So this should probably be replaced, but I'm going to roll with this for now, because I'll probably have to change this fluid again at some point, and this will probably have more crap on it. So I'll go ahead and reinstall this with a new filter in, fill it with fluid, and should be good to go. Got the strainer put back in, cap back on. I put the back drain plug back in. I cleaned out the filter housing here. There's a little spring that keeps this cone pressed up against the filter, so you want to make sure you assemble that correctly. And I put a new O-ring at the bottom of the bolt that goes through. The filter that we'll be using today is let's see, John Deere hydraulic oil filter AR75603, and the new O-ring minus the red RTV silicone that is not needed. I haven't cleaned out that area. I got the silicone off, but I really need to clean it out and dry it out. Again, back to, I swear I should get sponsored by these guys. This CRC Brake Clean will get rid of all that oil and grime and give you a nice dry metal surface. And then in order to get this O-ring to sit in place, you can use my other tried and true. I just got a new tube that I opened this morning, but I'll put it upside down because it's so tacky. The Lucas Red and Tacky grease, or any kind of grease, it doesn't matter. You can use Vaseline if you want. Just don't use red RTV or red silicone or whatever you think that. Don't use it. The red and the blue is garbage. The black's cool. Oil, fuel, some gaskets and stuff. I don't know why everybody uses the red and the blue. I don't know. That's just personal preference, I guess. You know, this grease will eventually mix in with the hydraulic fluid. No big deal. That red silicone will eventually peel off and go through your system and go through your pump and clog up your suction strainer. So don't use silicone for stuff like this. There's no need for it. So Vaseline or any grease of your choice, I like the Lucas Red and Tacky, will hold that O-ring in place while you put the filter on. So no need to video all that. It's pretty basic. I'll get that done, and then we'll start filling the sump, and I'll show you the new tool that we're going to try out today. Hopefully it'll help us out. Alright, so we did the first part of the video where I thanked everyone for their support and watching and whatnot. Second part was to change the fluids and filters, which we've accomplished. And now the third part is going to be the tool review. So I've got 10 gallons of this John Deere High Guard oil that needs to go into this tractor, and I got an extra gallon just in case I got to top it off. Anyway, it's a lot of fluid to move. This is the fill cap for it back here. So kind of a pain to put a funnel and lift these things and fill it that way. So I got this from Harbor Freight. It's a battery operated liquid transfer pump. It says it pumps over 6 quarts a minute. So if you got 4 quarts in a gallon, we should be able to do, well, you do the math. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it doesn't say, it says pumps gas, water, oil, non-corrosive, so should be good for oil. I would assume it's going to pump oil slower than gas. So that's 1.5 gallons per minute. We've got 10 gallons, so it should be less than 10 minutes. Probably closer to 8. Let's see here. Battery operated. I'm assuming this unscrews. Sure does. Alright, and it takes 2D batteries. I might cheap out on the tools at Harbor Freight sometimes, but get you some good quality batteries. Here's some Duracell ones. Let's see how they work. Let's see. Pointy side in. Got it. Screw this back on. Hopefully this hose is long enough. I might need to stack these buckets. Alright, let's see what it sounds like I don't know if that's going to do the trick. Let's see, may be tested without fluid for no more than 10 seconds before use. Do not return to store. Alright, well, let's try it out. I'm assuming that's because the fluid cools the pump. I don't know. Alright, let's see if this works. If this is even going to fit here. So there's my discharge. So go ahead. I'm going to stack these. Move this out of the way. I don't think I'm going to need that. I've already opened this bucket here. So this should help the pump anyway because it's not having to lift as much. Alright, pump's in there. Put this in here. Let's see if it'll pump some oil. Well, it ain't spinning as fast, that's for sure. Let's see if it'll get a suction. Come on, girl. I think I wasted my money. It does not look like it's wanting to move this oil. There it goes. That's definitely not, what was it, 6 quarts a minute? No, it's very slowly moving. Here's the end of it. It's going. It's alright. Slow and steady wins the race, right? I ain't no rush. I'll let that sit there and pump for a while. Be alright. At least to get most of it out. I didn't even measure this. It's not going to hit the bottom of the tank, so it won't pump all the way anyway. But at least if I get most of it, a lot easier for me to lift 2 or 3 gallons instead of 5. Oh, that's slow. That's very slow. Alright, well, I might end up moving this by hand anyway with some funnels because this is ridiculous. So, yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give that about a 2 for oil. Now, it might work better for pumping some water if you go to pump out your kid's kiddie pool or something, but I'm going to be here for 3 weeks pumping this 10 gallons. Alright, that's my recommendation on that. You want to pump out a fish tank or something out of your living room into a bucket, it's probably your tool, but if you're trying to put this stuff in this thing, nah, not the one you want. Alright, I think that's going to wrap it up for today's video. We managed to get the fuel banjo leak addressed this morning for the injection line for the rear cylinder. Engine oil and filter changed, transmission / hydraulic fluid and filter changed, and cleaned that nasty suction strainer out. So everything's good. You can see I raised the hitch back up, I started it, everything's fine, no leaks. So it's going to be about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you learned something. I think I've made enough of a mess for the day, and hopefully this will help you on your endeavor, whether it be for this type of tractor or something different. So anyway, thanks again for watching. I appreciate you all more than you know, and I'll see you in the next video.